welcome to episode 28 of the Gussets and Go Days podcast. My name is Christina and this is my podcast about my knitting and stitching and all my crafting. We are now at the end of February. Time has flown by. I haven't podcasted very much this year, but I did do some vloggy videos for the lockdown that we had in the UK before Christmas, and then I attempted just a smidgen of Vlogmas, which was a lot of fun, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you anybody who watched and commented, that was really nice, and I really enjoyed it. That was a great challenge, something to get me out of my pyjamas and doing something every day, and yeah, just nice to talk to somebody. So I have accumulated, I am surrounded by absolute mess, but the best kind of mess. Faux mess. Faux everywhere. I start with what I'm wearing. This is not a me made, but my friend made it for me for my birthday, and it's been super useful. This is the KEILO wrap dress. I'll put the details on the screen. It's a jersey dress, which has got a dart through the front. It's got a neckband. It has not yet been hemmed on the sleeves or the bottom, because I told her not to bother and that I would do that myself. It's quite unusual because, let me just undo the back. Oh, and I am a little bit covered in fluff, I'm sorry. That's from my alpaca project. So it's cut as this really weird tent-like shape, which means that you can cross it over through the front, which is probably how I would usually wear it. You can cross it over to the back and bring the ties to the front. So super versatile. It has a centre back seam, which I don't think you'll be able to see, and two darts. The reason I love it is obviously with the bump here, my selection of garments is greatly reduced. All my wardrobe is, well, super fitted. So I'm very limited to what I can wear. And this dress has been absolutely fabulous. Now, although I am pregnant, 7 months something, yeah, I would definitely still wear this and cross it over the front to get that nice waist, and I think it will look really fab. The pattern comes without the sleeves, and then that's an add-on. I think it's a free add-on. My biceps always need a full bicep adjustment, which she didn't do on this. I told her not to bother. She needs to take in for herself. She has got arms that match her body size. My arms are a bigger size than my body, so where this portion for most standard people would maybe be a little bit on the loose side, for me it's perfect. So it looks really great on so many different people. I love to scroll through. This is my cat. I love scrolling through on social media and just having a look at the tag and having a look at different shapes, because if I make something and I've only ever seen it on very slender, athletic people or very tiny people, I kind of don't know how it's going to look like on me, but it's very flattering on everyone that I've seen it on, whether it's pregnant women seem to look really great in it, anyone who's got like a little bit of a tummy looks good in it, because you can just cross it over the front and then it's so flattering, and it's like secret pyjamas, because this is just a jersey. My friend said this is a t-shirt fabric. It's quite fine. It's not sheer, but it's quite fine. She said she likes slinky, but she doesn't like too thin, so she wouldn't go thinner than this because her machine will then struggle, and she just uses a domestic machine. But the slinkiness is quite nice. If you use something that's then a little bit too thick and doesn't have any slinkiness, you've got too much fullness then, she said, and it kind of doesn't hang nicely. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. Hey you. Sleepy. Anyway, yeah, she's distracted me. And this dress I wanted to show you. So I made this. No, not using those patterns. Ooh, let me grab the pattern. Let me grab the pattern. Okay, here is the pattern. It's for this blouse. Now I made this blouse ages and ages and ages ago, and I love it. I love the there's no set in sleeve, so it's just this little grown on, almost a cap sleeve, but it's loose. I love that type of sleeve where you don't have to insert one. You just stitch up the side seam and then stop and then hem it, and it works really, really well. And it also gives me that flexibility that where my arm is a bit bigger, I can stop sewing earlier in general, and then it gives me a bigger hole for my arm. So yeah, I made this one ages ago, just out of a gingham with a plain blue linen, and I really like it, but I only ever wear it on holiday because it's so cropped, it's so short. I couldn't wear that at work. Could you imagine, like crawling on the floor to pin someone's hem for them and all my back showing? I'd be so embarrassed. And the fact that it also has a tie makes it super casual. If there was no tie, I don't know why that makes a difference, but it feels like it does. So, one way I do like to wear it though is over dresses. So I've got a plain white dress, and if it's a hot day, even with Factor 50 suntan lotion, sun cream, I'm gonna burn. In the sun 5 minutes, I'm burnt all through my shoulders. That's then like 2 weeks that you then have to cover your shoulders because it's just uncomfortable and it's gonna get worse. So I wear this on top of sundresses, and then that's really nice. But again, I don't have that many that many dresses that it would go with because it's a print, so okay. So what I did, I used the pattern to make this dress. So all I did with the pattern was where you've got the grown on ties, I just squared it off on the pattern. That's all I did, I squared it off. And I just whacked a pleated skirt on it, and it's so wearable, it's so useful. I've got so much flexibility in my sleeves, it's so nice. I do like to cover the tops of my arms, but I hate a capped sleeve that is inserted because it just sits so, it just frames really badly, and it makes you look fuller through the bicep. The only person I've ever seen look good in a capped sleeve is someone who's super athletic and has like very muscular arms. I hate them. I hate a cap sleeve, and yet this is basically the same thing, but the fact that it's looser, it kind of sits away from your body, it just is so much more flattering, and you can move your arm, because a lot of people that wear cap sleeves, I notice, that's my sewing background, that they tear in that each corner. I see that a lot at work where girls will come up and be like, oh, I've ripped my sleeve, can you help me? And we just have to kind of hand stitch it to get them through the day. So yeah, I thought I can't try it on, but I think I can put a picture on the screen of me wearing it, because I wore it quite a lot last summer. For the first 3 months of my pregnancy, I wore this because I'd made it a little tiny bit too big in the waist, purposefully, and it was so nice to wear. It was, I don't know, I just felt really happy wearing it. I wasn't worried I was going to get sunburn. I really liked the collar, and I feel like a collar always makes me feel smart. So yeah, I I just pleated a big long piece and just whacked it on the waist. So I wanted to show it to you just because of how much I love it. And also, patterns are so flexible, and I don't really hack patterns that often. I don't mix and match patterns, but just because that's a blouse pattern doesn't mean that you can't make it into something else. And it's that pattern is now so much more usable and wearable to me. I mean, I still love that little blouse and I wear it a lot, especially on holiday, but I don't live in a hot country, and you know, at work I couldn't show my midriff, and so it's nice to have flexible garments. I could wear that in a professional setting. I'd feel comfortable with that with a little cardigan, I'd be fine. I can wear that to the seaside and I would feel happy. I could wear that during the day. Like, this type of dress for me, a shirt dress, is really nice to wear and really versatile, so yay. Oh yes, so still on the theme of making things that you cannot wear, I make a lot of summer dresses, but in the UK, even in the summer, it can be a little bit on the chilly side. So I wanted to just kind of think of a way that I could then maybe make those garments more useful for spring and autumn, and I decided to make just another beauty school top in a cream yarn. And now I can wear this over the top, sorry, it looks a bit creased, of little summer dresses, and I could then, I feel really comfortable to wear them to work. I would never wear a spaghetti strap or a thin strap to work and show all my shoulders. So, I mean, now I'm not working. And I never got to wear this to work because of the whole of last year was just deleted. But it's a 4-ply yarn. This is, I'll write it on the screen, it's Lang Yarns, AWOLL Lang Yarns. And it is quite a creamy colour, but it goes with quite a few of my summer dresses, and because it's so fine, I mean, I work inside anyway, there's aircon, so it is nice to wear something that covers you anyway, because it can get quite cold sometimes when you work in somewhere with the aircon. But yeah, the only flaw of this garment in this yarn, I really like this yarn, it's a sock yarn, and it's very soft. It will not pill badly. It will pill slightly, I imagine. It's much softer than lots of the sock yarns that you get that are commercial. So I'm fine with that for a garment. I don't know if everybody would be, but I mean, I have no, it's not a prickly yarn. I know some people are so sensitive and they really have to have something soft, but yeah, I was super happy with it. It's quite a fine fingering weight, and because my gauge is quite loose, if I put something with a print under it, you can kind of see the print through. And that's a combination of this yarn being very fine, my gauge being very loose, and it being a light colour. So if I made this in a black, I don't think that would be a problem. But because all of those three things together, that is a little bit disappointing. But I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really matter. You wouldn't see through it to just underwear. I don't wear printed underwear, I wear plain. But yeah, if you slightly saw the print of the dress I was wearing underneath, I mean, who cares? But yeah, I would quite like to have this in quite a few more colours, because these get so much wear all year round, and because they're so lightweight, I can so easily just whack it in a backpack or a handbag and always have them on hand. I always get cold on trains, on buses, anywhere where there's aircon. I go outside and I'm absolutely sweltering, and then as soon as I step anywhere with it with aircon, that kind of fake atmosphere that it creates, just I end up shivering and like really it's ridiculous. So it's nice to have something that's lightweight, and because it's a fingering weight. Yeah, really happy with it. And then in autumn winter it's also nice as well, and then I can wear a thicker cardigan on it, wear on top, and wear that as my base layer. So very versatile. I'm super happy with that. Haven't worn it because I didn't go back to work, and then now it won't fit me because my tummy is too big. I don't know if we're going to get through all this. I do not want to subject you to a massively long episode. This is another very old garment, which is this is my most worn garment, I think, of all time. I used to wear this at least twice a week to work. I loved it. It's as comfy as a t-shirt, but because you have the lacy top, people don't think it's a t-shirt, so you're getting away with wearing a t-shirt, but no one noticed. Brilliant. And I hate wearing, like, you know, the formal kind of workwear, and you have to wear a shirt and it can be like restrictive and you keep tucking it in. Oh, this was brilliant. This is, and I'll write on the screen, it's another Poison Girls pattern. It is a top-down construction, and then, I mean, all her patterns are usually knit the same way. You knit the front and the back, and then you join it under the arm, and then it's in the round for the bottom part, and then you pick up stitches in the armhole and make the whole armhole in the round. It's got quite a nice little V through the shoulders using garter stitch. Last year I thought, let me have a little look in my wardrobe, what's missing. You know, that's when I decided I'd make a shirt dress from that pattern. That's when I decided I would make a cream one of these. I thought, oh, let's give this a nice wash and another block. I do not wash things as often as I should, but things wear much quicker when you wash them regularly. So I like to only wash things as they need to be washed. Anyway, that will probably split my audience. Some of you will be like, oh yes, I agree. And other people will be like, oh no, you need to be washing much more, Christina. Anyway, that comes from my background in my interest in vintage, because when I wore vintage garments, you just can't wash them regularly because they perish every time you wear them, and then every time you wash them they perish. So anyway, I washed it in the washing machine, and you can wash it in the washing machine, but I put it on the wrong setting like a right idiot, and I took it out, and it's not actually, here's the other one, I then reknit, but it's not actually looking that much smaller, but it's completely lost all of its elasticity. So it's coming up, one of them stretches beautifully and the other one particularly in that lace, it's just, there's no give. And to get that over your head, it just doesn't stretch anymore. That edge, it's completely felted. What a shame. But I mean, who wants to knit the same garment that they've already knit and worn and used for, what, a year or 2 years? That's not a lot of fun, but I pushed myself to do it, and I'm so glad I did. I had the same yarn and I just reknit it. I'm so glad that I did it, and if it wasn't for lockdown, I don't think that I would have, because although I did have a lot of time for knitting on my days off, I didn't consider it. I didn't consider that allocation of time a lot in comparison to how many hours I would spend working and doing other things. So the yarn is Drops. I put it on the screen, Baby Alpaca Silk, and it's in the powder colourway. For me, this is almost a nude because I am so pasty. And it's really flattering, and it's pinkish, so yellowy tones, more difficult for me to wear, but these pinky ones are quite flattering and pretty. Sorry about the creases. It's been folded up here for months waiting for me to podcast. But yeah. It's not a super easy pattern, this one, because of that lace. My problem with lace is yarn overs, not making the yarn over when you go in that way, but when you come back on it and you have to knit or purl or whatever into the yarn over, they're just slipping off my needle, left, right and centre. Yarn over, where's the yarn over? Where is it? Oh, I don't know, there's no yarn over, slipped off. Which is why in general I tend to avoid lacy patterns, because me and yarn overs are not massive friends. But yeah, if you love a pattern, make loads of them. Why not? If you wear something all the time, make loads of them. If you ruin it and it was your favourite thing that you ever made, make another one. Make another. Don't be sad about it. I was fuming when I took it out of the washing machine. It didn't look different, but there is a noise that they make when you pull. When you pull the fabric to stretch it. Normal knitting has no sound. I mean, tiny sound. There's like a horrible sound that it makes when it's... It's just, you can tell straight away, like, oh no, it just... What a shame. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with that now. I feel like naughty to throw it away. Maybe I should just kind of hem the sides and put a cushion in it, because Nina would really quite like that. She likes nice, like, fluffy things. It has not really got a halo, but it does have a nice softness to it. So, yeah, oh. I feel like I need a pile of what I've shown and a pile of what I haven't. Okay. Oh, one of my favourite things I've knit last year is this cardigan. Oh, it's so lovely. I used the Camarose Everyday DK. I'll put it on the screen what the yarn is. It's a DK weight yarn. It's 100% wool, I believe. This is a rustic yarn. A lot of people, I think, would not want to wear this because it's got that dry crispiness. I have no problem. To me, it feels lovely. I would wear this on bare skin, I'd be fine. Just a little camisole top underneath. Anyway, beautiful yoke. The colour of the yarn is nice. I have completely abused this cardigan and it has very little pilling for the amount of wear. So, can I, sorry, excuse me madam, can I sit down? Oh, the squirrel's back, Nunu. Oh no. Best to keep sat down. So, I love the pattern. It's beautiful. I love a yoke. I love a patterned yoke, a lacy yoke. They're so comfortable to wear for me. The only problem I had with this is it was knit bottom up. So firstly, when I knit it, I did do a gauge swatch. You start off with this bottom part and it's shaped, so you do kind of decreases. I knit the wrong size the first time, so I knit kind of up to the waist, realised it was too big, had to rip it up, rip it back and then start again, so that was really annoying. And I wasn't quite sure how long I wanted it, so the top of that rib should be on your waist and then that should go over your high hip, which means you get like a little bit of a blousey blouson, which I can't show you because my shape is so different than it was before. But the lady on the pattern, on the picture, she is very lean, very slim, and it fits her in a very straight way. And then the illustration, like the little line drawing that the designer's done, is someone much more hourglass, and it does have that fullness through the top fitted in the waist. So mine has come out much more like the illustration, and the idea of this garment as a DK weight garment was to be able to wear it over my 4-ply lightweight garments, so I could stack them up and then wear this maybe instead of a jacket spring and autumn when it's not super cold but you want something to throw on. Also the sleeve was knitted cuff, from the cuff up, and then you have to kind of put them all on a long circular needle and then work. It's completely different than how I have done all of my others, and I brought the other ones up to show you. So this is the White Horse by Caitlin Hunter. It's a lacy yoke and it's a sweater, similar thing, but it's knit from the top down, which means that you can keep trying it on to check that it fits you nicely, that everything's sitting correctly, and also where I split for the sleeves I can adjust, because my back isn't that wide but my arms are larger, and then also with my bust I want more space for my bust in the front, so if I knit top down it works better for me. But yeah, I had this one already with a similar feel to it, just with the kind of lacy yoke, and then also the Whitmore sweater by Amy Loudon. Again, a lacy yoke, again knit top down, and where I knit this particular garment in a smaller size than I should have done. It's meant to be quite a loose garment and I made it as a fitted garment, so I sized down. I then had that ability there to do like a little bit of extra length, and I could then decide where I wanted to place my markers for where the sleeves were going. So both of these have similarities to this garment, but they're knit in the opposite direction. And although I'm quite a good knitter, I can knit a lot of things, and I have knit a lot of things, I couldn't use this pattern and do it top down. I just don't know how to do that. I don't have that ability, whereas maybe you would, maybe some knitters could just reverse it. For me, that was never going to happen. So I'm glad that I had these already made, because I could then lay this down flat on top of them and then work out, okay, well this one I really like the armhole depth, this one I really like the length of the body, and this one I like the width of the sleeve. So I could actually lay down what I'd done on this on top and see. So having a few garments with a similar feel was really beneficial for this. Or another thing I did struggle with, it was the number of stitches that I had on the needle. It didn't give me a breakdown on the pattern, this row you should have that many stitches, and it didn't tell me out also where to put markers, which, I mean, this one in particular, the Whitmore, it shows you where to put your markers so that you can check every round that you've got, okay, I've got 5 stitches, the next round I need 7 stitches, the next, you know, however many you're meant to have. So for someone like me who drops a yarn over all the time, I will count as I'm knitting. I will count every row to make sure. I mean, and for me that sounds really laborious, but for me, as I'm watching TV, I can easily count. You're not counting up to many. Counting up to what, 20 maybe for each individual little section. It's not like I'm counting up into the hundreds, which would be really not fun. Anyway, it's also, this colour is also very similar to the one on the pattern, which I didn't mean to do. I do it all the time. I don't mean to do it. I see a pattern that I love and then I accidentally buy the same yarn, like a very, very similar coloured yarn. Even when I haven't gone out of my way to buy the exact same yarn, I've just accidentally, I think it must just infiltrate into my brain, but luckily it goes with my eyeballs. When I wear this, I get so many eyeball compliments. Well, they don't say eyeball, they just say, oh, it brings out your eyes. Thank you for my eyeball compliment. Yeah, oh, I said about the wear. This stuff is bulletproof, I'm telling you. Usually when I make things, I would not like sleep in them or nap in them. I would take them off and fold them up nicely, and if I'm going to put them in my backpack as well, I fold them up nicely, roll them up, put them on, I mean, I'd sometimes even put them in a little drawstring cotton, you know, like a little project bag, just like that, something like that. And I'd have maybe one of those in my bag just to keep it nice and tidy and clean. And you take so long knitting that you do want it to look nice. But this has been thrown on, torn off. I've slept in it, I've napped in it the whole way through my pregnancy. I just keep pulling it on. I love that it's a cardigan as well. I daren't try and do the rest of it up and stretch it out, so I only ever do the top part. I just love it. I love it so much. I love the colour. I love that it's warm. I never make full length sleeves. Turns out there is a big difference between a 3/4 length sleeve warmth and a long full length. Those few inches make all the world of difference to your warmth. And in the summer I was wearing it with that and they paired so nicely. This looks really washed out on screen. And it is a bit of a washed out colour, to be honest, but it's very pretty. Anyway. Oh. She tumbles around in there, you know, like I don't know what she's up to. What do I want to show you now? Oh. If you watched my vlogs, you'll have seen my hat, but I'm so proud of it. I knit this using the Maybe Baby colourway in a sock weight yarn and the mohair, exactly the same as I used for my Whitmore sweater. This is a much tighter gauge. I knit this in than this one. So they kind of feel a little bit different and hang a bit different, but oh, it's lovely. It's got such a nice halo, and it's the Tchaikovsky hat. I'll put the details on the screen. And I'm trying to think if I've ever knit a hat before. I made a beret that went awry. I remember that. That was fun. Hats make you so much warmer than without a hat. Your ears really appreciate the hat. I think it took me a day and a half maybe to knit it. It was so quick. The pattern is really pretty. It's not super visible, but it's enough just to give interest. It's knit from the bottom up. I think that was twisted rib, and I just popped a pom-pom on it. I just happened to have, I had two pom-poms in my crafting area. God knows where they're from. One in like a hot fuchsia pink and one in aubergine. So I grabbed the aubergine one. It's not the colour I probably would have picked for it, but actually it goes really nicely. It's quite neutrally. Doesn't bother me, the colour, and it gives, sorry, Nina, it's like pom-pom, pom-pom. Oh. You cannot leave a pom-pom out with a cat. This goes in my backpack or my coat pocket every time. I wasn't sure about sizing. I wasn't sure because the last beret I made came out too small. Hello, boo. Hello. I made a smaller size than what I thought because they stretch, and people that make hats have told me, and from other podcasts I've watched, they've said that it stretches out over time, and then that's really annoying. And then I think they've had to put some rows of elastic inside. So in order to try and avoid that, I just knit the smaller size. Worked out beautifully. There wasn't much in it, to be honest, between the two sizes. I could have gone either way. But size down is the advice I would give. The mohair really makes it warm, and yeah, it's been really, really useful. I can't believe that I've never been a hat wearer and that I've never made a hat. Well, I made one as a gift for a little boy. But yeah. Oh, and the way that I attached it, this had just a ribbon in a circle, and I cut the ribbon and I threaded it through and just tied a bow. So you can just undo that bow if you want to wash it. Brilliant. I think that works better than a popper. You don't have to fiddle around with stitching a popper, you just tie it in a bow. That is a satin bow. If I was going to stitch a bow onto a pom-pom, I probably would not choose a satin one. I feel like satin maybe has more chance of undoing. I mean, it hasn't undone, but just if I was going to stitch one myself, I would probably pick a cotton ribbon rather than a satiny, slippery one. Brilliant. Ooh. To go with that hat, I was on an outdoor kick. Well, let's just wear the hat. I feel like, even though it's really warm, let's just wear the hat. Just for comedic purposes, if nothing else. I want to make sure you can see the pom-pom. Oh, these. I think you pronounce them Biefeld mittens. I'll put it on the screen. Exactly the same yarn as this cardigan. The colours that they have in this yarn are spectacular and very mid-century, which you know I really love. Colour. These are designed by my good friend Amy Loudon, and oh my gosh, they are beauties. They look so complicated, so easy. I'm a numpty and I made one in like a day. Really quick because of the DK. The bobbles are huge. Sometimes bobbles are too small and they get lost within the knit. This, no, you can clearly see the bobbly goodness. I have one other pair of mittens my friend's mum made for me, and they have alpaca in them. They are much warmer than these wool ones. There's not much in the gauge, not one of them isn't thick and the other thin, they're very like for like, but that alpaca does make a difference. And I imagine if I'd used the mohair similar to this, it also would have been a lot warmer. But I cannot tolerate a very thick mitten because it makes my hands itch. I have low blood pressure, so I get pooling. My blood sometimes pools in my hands and my feet and stays there. And so I get really hot, prickly hands if they get too hot. So for me, and in the UK where it doesn't get super cold, Nina never wants to be in the podcast. I always try. And today, she won't leave me alone. She won't leave me alone. She's on squirrel patrol because the squirrel has shown an appearance this week. The roof squirrel that we had last year. Someone is coming this afternoon to sort it out. Anyway, very easy to knit. I have got a loose gauge and therefore my knitting was coming up a little bit big. I tried to make the large size, which my hands are large for what the pattern says large is. That would be my hand size. Because my gauge is a little bit on the loose side, after I'd done that much I realised they were too big, so I ripped out and I made the medium. Perfect. Perfect for me. I made them a little bit longer than what Amy says. In the pattern she says go up to the top finger, or however she phrases it beautifully, not in my silly way. And then you do your little decreases. But I wanted to have a little bit more wiggle room. It did mean that I used, instead of 50 grams, which is one ball of this yarn, I had to use 55 grams. So I had a little bit left over from my scarf project, so I had enough. I did the same thing on the thumb, like it's not stretched over my thumb, it's got that little bit of wiggle room there. So that is brilliant. I'm very happy with how those two colours go together. I'm happy with how it matches on my with my hat as well. I feel like I've got a good little set going on. And the final part of the set is this beauteous shawl. Oh, I adore it. This is designed by Molly Klein Designs. The thing I love about Molly's patterns, so simple. Not the design, but the way in which she tells you how to knit them. They are so beginner friendly. You just can't go wrong. And so many patterns, I mean, now I'm much more experienced, but in the past, I found knitting so hard because the patterns were just stupid. They assumed that I knew more than I did. These patterns do not assume, they give you all the information without patronising you, so win-win. You start on one end, and then you get wider and wider and wider, and then you get smaller when you finish that. So yeah. The only thing I did wrong in this is the weaving in of my ends are horrific, and I really regret it. I didn't know where to weave in the ends, so you can't see it, but when I hold it up to the light, you can see the line, and a few of the balls had multiple breaks, which meant, oh, it's useless trying to show you, you can't see it at all. Anyway, if I hold it up in the light, I can see little lines which look, to me, really disappointing, and I feel really disappointed in myself. But when you're wearing it, no one notices, and you know, who walks around flapping their shawl into the wind? No one, that's the answer, no one. It's a very narrow shawl, which makes it, for me, more wearable than all of the other shawls that I've knit. I can wear it in the summer as a shawl with that beautiful lacy edge. And this lace was so easy. Oh, it looks like I made some effort. I didn't. Brilliant. And it's really long. Ooh. Yeah, so really nice. To be honest, mostly I wear it just like a normal scarf. And yeah, I'm much more of a scarf wearer than a shawl wearer. I love knitting a shawl. They're fun. But the reality is, I want to wear a scarf. Nina, you're very naughty today. Oh, little bean, you're gonna scratch me. She's not really a scratchy cat, but when she doesn't want to be played with. Hey, you're so pretty, girl. You're so pretty. Whoop, whoop. I'm sorry. You can go back. I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm incredibly happy with this. So this is the Peaceful Pathway shawl by Molly Klein Designs. I bought 6 balls of the Everyday Organic DK in the coral colourway by Cama Rose, and I knit the 3 until the middle point where it's at its widest at the back of my neck here. And because I knew that I didn't want to do tassels, I could do that, and then I just used the other 3 to go back down, and it worked perfectly well. She explains how much yarn you would need to keep anyway for the tassels if you wanted to do it, so there's nothing difficult to work out. And to me, this is soft and squishy, and I think to maybe against some of you, this would be prickly and horrible. So the yarn choice is so difficult for me to recommend to you, but if you do get the chance to work with this yarn, probably best to do something like the mittens to give it a try. I think the cost of one ball is it about £5? So one ball for a pair of mittens. And if I hadn't have done the extra length, I would have got them out of the one ball, but I did the extra length because I like to have that extra wiggle room. Yeah, but no, beautifully made, really plain on one side. Oh. And even though these two patterns are made by two completely different designers with a completely different style, one is bobbly and with the bobbles and the cables, and the other one is lacy, together I think they just look so beautiful. And although I could have done a hat in the same yarn, I'm quite happy to have the different, and that's a lovely little set. So I will be using this base again, I think, because it's very affordable. You get a good amount of meterage for the price that you pay. The colours are incredibly vibrant, they're lovely and warm, and yeah, I'm a big fan. But of course that's only if you can tolerate a slightly toothier yarn, and I guess unless you've tried toothier yarns you might not know that, so the mittens are a good choice. But loads of people knit this kind of combo, the fingering weight with the mohair into these, and they look equally beautiful. And you can even still see the bobbles and the cables, which I wouldn't have assumed that you could. I would have thought it would get lost in translation, you know, with the fuzz. It doesn't, it just looks dreamy. Okay, how long have we been going? Oh, it's a long one. Ooh, but I want to show you, just stick around for one more knitting project. I have to show you. And then I'm just going to have to do another. I've got this like little pile of baby knits, so maybe I'll just do a separate episode with the baby knits and the English paper pieced quilt. Okay. Seeing as how much I adore wearing this Whitmore sweater, I have never worn anything that made me feel so much like a princess in all of my adult life. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the fuzz, which you're not really getting it on screen. It's super fuzzy. It might be the lace, it might be the bishop sleeve, which I didn't expect to like as I was knitting it, and then I put it on and I just wanted to just ballet around the house. So I love it, and I get so many compliments on it, and all I want is to put things that I've made on and feel fabulous. That's all I want. Feel fabulous and be comfortable now. That was not a priority previously. So, the Whitmore cardigan has now been released. I love a cardigan. So I started it as soon as I could. This is knit in Drop Sky, commercial yarn, very affordable. Colour number 1, I think it's listed as white. And it is, I wonder if I can show you. Yeah, that does show up to my screen. I hope it does to you. So this is a Ficalana in their colour 101. This is very much the colour that I could find everywhere online as their white option, and it's very yellow. What I liked about this yarn is, although it's not bright white, it's much cooler in tone and more white. So I bought this for another project, and I will use this for another project. Who got it for me? I think my dad bought it for me for Christmas. I asked for it, he didn't just randomly buy me a fantastic quantity. Anyway, yeah, I really wanted for this specific project something that was more white, and this yarn met that criteria. Plus, I didn't have to buy two bases, which would be the sock base and the mohair. I could just use this because it has, oh, I don't know if you can see it, it has a little bit of fuzz. It's a DK weight and it's so light. I don't think anyone could think that this is like cotton wool. It's so soft and beautiful. I did knit a swatch, and for some reason I knit it in the round. Obviously the sweater was knit in the round, so maybe that's where I got confused. But it knit up really nicely, and when I cut all these, they went super like puffed up, which I think that's gonna, within the project, look really nice. And it's very, just look, knit up, it looks very romantic and soft and fairy-like, and it's got just enough fuzz without being overwhelming, and it doesn't lose its fibres as much as the mohair does, because mohair, it does leave, I do leave a little bit of a trail on dark fabrics. This one I wouldn't, I think, yeah. So yeah, let me show you what I've done so far. It still does leave a little bit as I'm knitting it, but nothing major. So it's knit from the top down, and it's so pretty. It's so delicate and elegant. I'm doing the button band as I'm going along. You can see the buttons, band holes. I wonder, I put it on 2 needles because the one circular wasn't long enough for me to try on. Like a crazy bag lady for too many cardigans all on at once. But yeah, oh, it's so nice. The lightweight, it's very surprising how much it weighs. It weighs nothing, so that's a benefit. Yeah, exactly the same lace I think as the other one. I can't see any difference, but the way in which you knit it, of course, is different with it being a cardigan. And yeah, I'm just loving it. With this yarn, it's actually very strangely like a tube. It's not plied in any way I've ever seen before. It's I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it on the screen. I don't know if you can see it, but it's almost like a kind of crocheted chain. So when it arrived, I thought, oh gosh, what have I ordered? But after knitting up that swatch, I could see how lovely it is. I don't know how it wears, never used it before, but the cost of buying enough yarn for this sweater, this cardigan in this, is very inexpensive. So I think it makes the project more accessible using this type of yarn. I'm so glad that I knitted that one up with beautiful indie dyed yarn and with the 2 bases, but it does make the price point for other people a little bit more expensive. So if you are on a budget, this yarn, so far I'm really impressed. And after I've made it and I've blocked it and I've worn it, I'll keep you updated and let you know how it wears for anyone who's unsure. But yeah, oh, it's so lovely, and it's given me the opportunity to use my stitch markers from So Sweet Violet, which are my favourite stitch markers. I've collected them over whenever I've had her advent calendars. No, it's just not. Anyway, pearls, pretty beads, little glass tear droplets. I mean, they're all so beautiful, and every time I pass one, it just makes your knitting more enjoyable. Surprisingly, I'm using the correct needles for the project, and also interestingly, I'm using DPNs as the pattern suggests for the button band on either end. I've not been used DPNs very often, so that's been a nice change and a kind of bit of an experiment for me. And don't you just love it when your project has a perfectly matched project bag. Doesn't always happen. That's quite an old one. But yeah, the designer who designed the pattern also made the bag, so I just feel like it's got a nice little theme. Oh, perfect. Oh, well, thank you so much for watching. Seeing as I've got all the projects here, I'll see if tomorrow I can record the next part. I don't think we've got enough daylight for today. It's already 1:30. Yeah, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. I have no idea how that's going to view. That could be just horrendous. Because I've not done it in so long. But it's great to see you. Thank you for being here. I will be back very soon to show you the leftover projects that I've got here and whatever progress I do on that cardigan, because that is my number one at the moment. Oh, so enjoying it. It's such a good knit. I don't think of anything I need to say. Yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye guys. Bye. Nina, I need my chair for the podcast. Can I sit in my pink chair? Please? Oh, he's gonna bite me if I kick you off. You can sit in your pa's chair.